not recording this, so maybe I'll record the debrief right now. We'll go ahead and kick off some TLA.
Do you want me to do my passionate stump speech again?
Yeah, wait, let's rewind it one more time. So if you're just hopping on now, we didn't record the first half, so sorry, be live next time. TLA Prep debrief. We're going to do a quick debrief of this past weekend. So I'm going to pull up the agenda. I want everyone to take 30 seconds real quick to go ahead and get out your notes from this weekend. And before you even do the debrief, while everyone's getting out their notes, one of the values of doing this is, I can't tell you how many times that I personally have went to a conference, paid a bunch of money to go to some event, spent 2 or 3 days there, taken a crap ton of notes, filled out a whole notebook, and then, I kind of went back home. I went right back to work, and I thought I had all these big, miraculous, life-changing takeaways, and I didn't implement any of them. And, 3 months, 6 months later, I couldn't even tell you what I learned at that event, other than it was awesome. And I was like, yeah, it was great. And like, what's different? I don't know. So there's really is some value in taking time to debrief, reflect, and review your notes. I think one thing that I remember learning from, Luke back in the day is he would take handwritten notes. And then at one point or another, would take all those and transfer them onto the computer so he gets a chance to actually review and go through his notes and systemize them and organize them. And it might not be that, but there is value. And so I want to make sure that, okay, great, I've got a lot of positive feedback from this past Saturday, a lot of light bulbs and takeaways, and I want to make sure they're actually being grounded and, we're getting a chance to debrief, as well as get a chance, maybe you missed a couple things throughout TLA Prep and someone else's light bulbs are going to be able to impact you. So take a couple quick seconds, get out whatever notes you need to get out, and we'll kind of go around. We can go through each talk by one. Yeah. Someone got a nice little doge. All right. Let me go ahead and pull this up. So this is the agenda. If you needed a quick review here. Okay. And for format wise, we'll talk about, I'll open things up to, let's start off with opening comments or SMRA program walkthrough. Any light bulbs, takeaways, or just a quick debrief on something that you had going through either one of those two sections here. Yeah, I think we got Jessica and Audrey raising their hands. So Jess, you can kick us off.
So one thing that stood out to me for opening comments, probably one of the first things you said was you don't have to be motivated, you just have to be committed, and how that relates into building habits now. And I took a second, I was sitting next to Lindsay and I was like, oh shoot, like the person that I want to be next summer, like that starts right like yesterday, like last week. And I sat and after that I made a list of all the things that I like, the best version of myself that I wanted to, I guess, like incorporate into my life before next summer. And then I intentionally like mapped out a plan of what I need to do over the next 21 days to establish that habit and then build that lifestyle so that it's all intentional building up to next summer.
I love that update. And I talked about the 21 days to build a habit, 90 days to build a lifestyle, right? And again, one of the reasons maybe like some of you all are like, that was a huge light bulb. And it's like, all right, cool. It's been Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's now been 5 days. There's 103 days left in the year on Saturday. So we're now at 97 days. So you've got a week till that 90-day mark starts until the end of the year, right? So it's like, cool. Like, have you actually started doing stuff? And have you started to think about what habits and lifestyle that I want to have, or have you not? Cool. Thanks, Jess, for sharing. Audrey, you want to chime in here a little bit?
Yeah, one of my biggest takeaways was the 21-90 rule. And just, takes 21 days to build a habit, 90 days to create a lifestyle. And it's really inspirational seeing Jess actually do this. She just did a 21-day challenge with like her workout program, and it's really inspirational. Another thing that stood out to me was giving up who you are now for who you can become. So
awesome.
Thanks. Those are my takeaways.
Chiming in there too. Cool. Any other takeaways, opening comments, or the SMRA program walkthrough? We'll open it up to some first years here too. By the way, we got a lot of people raising their blue electronic hands, so that might be the easiest way to do it for today. So Eric, do you want to chime in?
Yeah, something that really stood out to me was in your slides was this little like diagram I actually drew. It's like what people think success looks like and then what it actually looks like. And then that going back to, you said something, take the road less traveled. So I just correlated the two because basically I've just been getting from my non-Cutco friends, like, oh, why do you hop on these calls and stuff like that? And I was like, you know what, man, I'm gonna take my hiking sticks and go down the road I want to go, because I really do feel like this is the best thing that I've ever done. So that really, like, I was like, see, I'm in this part and it's not gonna look like that. I'm here. And they're like, I don't get it, but whatever. So that just really like helped.
Cool. Yeah, I love that you're chiming in there. And by the way, they won't really get it. And honestly, you won't either until you fast forward a couple of years. You know, there's like a great Steve Jobs quote where he is speaking at, I think, Stanford or something like that. He's given this, it's a really famous like graduation speech. And he just talks about how life, and he's like, yeah, like the crazy thing about life is that, you know, you can never connect the dots like looking forward. You can only connect the dots looking backwards, right? And so like when you look back, it's like, yeah, that's what success really looks like. Even though when you're going through it, you're hoping it's this, and it can be confusing when you end up over here and then here and then here, but you're trying to get here. That sometimes is just the road. And it's only, you can only see like, oh, okay, now I understand how what I was doing then was setting me up for where I am today. So thanks, Eric, for chiming in. Any other, Alana, you wanted to chime in here? Or Juliana has also raised her hand. Let's go to Alani real quick.
Yeah, I had two things. So the first one was whatever's making you feel insecure, to keep working hard on it and like to not stop. And that one like kind of like really clicked with me like a couple of days ago. I called like Jess because I was in a very bad state. But like it's just like to keep working hard on it and then to not give up. So like even if you do like the whole 90-day thing and like it doesn't happen within those 90 days, like you have another 90 days that you'll keep doing it and just like work up the consistency. So yeah.
Yeah, I was, some of you guys know when I was in New York, I was doing an event with a coaching group that I'm a part of. And we had this guy named Michael Bravant, who is like, if you saw him, he looks like he's got like long, dark brown hair. And he just looks like he's like, you talk to him.
He looks like Jesus.
He looks like Jesus. You talk to him and like, you think he's like staring into your soul basically. And he was just teaching us a concept of like, someone was talking about like their insecurities. And he kind of just like, yeah, what if you like change your perspective on your insecurities, and you actually like, rather than being like weak and unconfident because of your insecurities, like you become confident in your insecurities. And I know that's like a lot to kind of process there for a second, but it's a different paradigm or way of thinking about things, right? Than I think most people do, or oftentimes like when you avoid your insecurities, they become bigger insecurities, right? When you like embrace, I'm insecure in this, right? It almost becomes something that you're confident about because you're aware of that part of yourself and you're actively working on it too. So any other last minute takeaways for opening comments or SMRA program walkthrough, Juliana?
Yeah, so a really big takeaway for the SMRA program was that we talked about how if a really sharp rep comes in, like to actually go ahead and recommend them to become an SMRA, because then you might bring in like, instead of that one sales rep that's amazing, you're going to bring like 10 sales reps that are amazing and go and like offer them that and still understand that they can become a sales rep. Another really big takeaway for the SMRA program was that culture eats strategy for lunch. And I really like that, because I feel like the reason why I love working here so much is because of the culture. Like everybody's so energized, everybody's always ready to learn, and to have that culture also with the SMRAs and like to make sure that you have a connection with them and make sure that they're doing a good job because you show them how to do a good job. Like they should be seeing you how to make the calls as well, and have a connection not only with your sales rep, but to also really value the SMRA program and have a connection with them.
Yeah, I love that. You're chiming on our SMRA program. Had a good call. I remember talking to Anthony Ramirez earlier today, and we were talking about how, you know, and I said this in TLA prep, but like, hey, if the managers that know, and I'll just tell you right now, there's, you know, I know confidently 5 out of the top 10, you know, branch managers this year, there was a lot of things that they just really didn't know, and, you know, probably were not that great at. But what those managers all did a real damn good job at is the SMRA program. And you could be weak in management of sales reps. And this is the conversation I had with Anthony. He's like, well, how can you be really bad at managing sales reps, but like just good at SMRA program and still have strong results? And I was like, because really, really good sales reps don't need a lot of management. You know, when you get the best people in the door, attracting the right people into your organization, it's a hell of a lot easier to manage those reps, right? And when you're really good at recruiting, you might lose some people, you might not retain as many, but you're going to end up having good people in your team if you're able to create a good recruiting system, if you're able to have SMRAs tap into your best networks and get your best people from your territories and areas, you know, into your office and onto your team too. So I think just the importance of the SMRA program, and Juliana pointed out something really important. Is like, hey, yeah, when you have that sharp rep come in, it's like, what's more important? You know, getting a good rep or getting a good SMRA on the team to kick off the summer, and being able to build your summer around them too. Second thing that I think Juliana mentioned that I was going to add on to that, I do not know. I lost my train of thought after that first comment. So thanks, Juliana, for chiming in here. Any other questions or takeaways on SMRA program before we move on here a little bit? All right, moving into our next one. So Money Honey, I'd love to get any takeaways from the financial part or portion of Money Honey, or even as you've started to work through any of the assignments, any takeaways on our Money Honey session with Rachel Richards. Yeah, Tyler, chime in.
Just like the whole concept of delayed gratification she went over, like don't eat the marshmallow, don't eat the marshmallow yet. And also, like, you know, choosing, because I chose comfort in the present, I chose discomfort in the future. So that was an interesting like idea. And then also one thing that she said to help decide, like when you make decisions, is take your future self and your present self into consideration, like not just your present self, like really care about your future self. And then let's see what else. Yeah, by failing to prepare, you're preparing to fail. So just, yeah, I mean, I took a lot of random value from it. And I can apply a lot of that into my life, like now too. So it's pretty nice.
Awesome. Love that. And by the way, a comment too, just on that, Tyler, is that, you know, I love that idea of delayed gratification. And it's like, hey, because I chose comfort now, I experience or because I chose comfort then, I'm experiencing discomfort now, right? Or vice versa. It's like choosing discomfort now to experience that comfort later on. And I think people, this is my big thing. You know, I always talk about like sacrifice, and like, you know, if you guys have been working for Cutco long enough, there's probably some friends or some family that's been like, well, why are you doing that? Like, you have your entire rest of your life to work, you know, you'll work forever. Like, why don't you just be a kid and stuff like that too? And that really honestly is an option. For some people, that's probably the better path for them. You know, and for others, like I remember me at a young age, like I realized that, hey, for most people, I knew that I wanted to be successful. And to me, that was not just successful financially, that was successful in multiple regards with my relationships and family and things like that. And, you know, to be where I wanted to be, I recognized early on that like it requires sacrifice. And it always does, by the way. To be successful at really anything, it requires sacrifice. That might be sacrifice of, you know, you're sacrificing something. Whether you like it or not, you are either sacrificing your money, you're sacrificing your time that you could spend with other people, you're sacrificing sleep, you're sacrificing fun, you're sacrificing time with family, you're sacrificing something at all times if you're making moves in any area of your life. And I decided at a young age that I realized like, hey, yeah, like making sacrifices at this age sucks. And I'm pretty sure, like my thought process was like, I think it's a lot easier to make sacrifices when it's like going out to the bars with my friends versus like having to make those sacrifices when I'm 30 years old or 35 years old and I've got a wife and kids, you know. And then those sacrifices, like it's a lot harder to make financial sacrifices and be putting away and investing and taking risks and working long night hours when you get older than it is when you're younger, you know. But you have to make the choices. Like you're going to have to make the sacrifices. For a lot of you all on this call to get to where like you actually want to be in life, you have to make some sort of sacrifices. And you just have to decide, like, would you rather make them now or later? You know, I think that's a good question and process to walk yourself through. And also, some people aren't willing to make the sacrifices, and like, if you're not, that's cool too. Thanks, Tyler, for chiming in. Anyone else? I see, let's see, Rochelle, maybe you want to chime in here on Money Honey, and then we'll probably move on to the next topic here for time-wise.
So huge thing was like, what can you save? Like those big three like areas. I know I had a talk with Mike today and we're going to be working on some things I got to work on. But huge thing was bank searching. didn't know that was an option, didn't know I could ask them questions. I was just like, that's a bank. I got to go to there and do my thing. But there's questions to ask and didn't know that. And I get these overdraft fees or like late fees, things like this. It hurts my soul. So now I'm like reconsidering, okay, like now I'm going to go to the bank. I'm going to ask these questions and shop around rather than just like, I need a bank account. So that was really huge for me.
Yeah. There's also different interest rates when you have savings accounts. Some of your savings accounts, you literally make like nothing. It's like not even a savings account. So others, you're making a little bit of money back on your account there too. So shop around. Last one here. We're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna move different type of shopping. All right, next one we're gonna go to is interview skills and post-interview. Rita, by our district manager, Eddie De Las Cuevas. Love to hear some takeaways or some light bulbs from this this message here as well. Rochelle again. Anyone else want to chime in before Rochelle goes again? I see. Let me actually get someone that hasn't spoke yet. I see Juliana raise her hand, Rochelle, Alani. I love y'all, and I want to hear from someone that hasn't spoken yet too. This is a good opportunity. By the way, some of y'all are like, how do you plan out matrix scores? Well, assignments, chiming in, TLA preps, things like this too. You know, some of you all I get one-on-one calls with, some of y'all don't. So when you don't speak up at all, and you're given a lot of opportunities to, like, this is your opportunity to make more of an impression here too. So I'm going to go to Liz, and then we'll go to Celestial. Liz, go ahead here.
So I took a lot of notes on what Eddie was saying, but one of the big things was the alpha energy and really exuding that, especially when you're conducting interviews and or making those PR calls, and have them really want to earn the position versus trying to like feeling like they already expect it. And then if you have those higher those more elevated reps that come in, they're not gonna work as hard if they feel like they were just given the job. Part of the challenge or the excitement is going to be working for it.
Yep. I love Eddie's way of like just describing like the energy that you want to approach the group interview with. And it was followed up well because we talked about energy. Mama didn't raise no beta. That was probably my favorite part of Eddie's talk. Yeah, so talking about the energy and then also just the idea like, yeah, you can't recruit someone that is sharper than you, which I really think is important, you know? So I think like as you guys are reading how to win friends and influence other people, like that's an element of that. We're not going to have time to get it. We're probably going to postpone it until next week. But one of the things on our TLA schedule today was like how to attract the right people. Because it's one thing to interview somebody, you know, and run a good interview. It's another thing to be able to recruit the very best people that you come in contact with. And you're able to get the best people in your organization. And I think that's why we're having you read How to Win Friends and Influence People, because it's really a book about how to connect, build deep relationships with people, and how to like just be someone that is impressionable, is personable, is able to build a strong connection with someone quickly, regardless of what background or what type of person that is, regardless of what they do, who they are. And that's really one of the most fundamental and foundational skills I think you can develop as an individual in sales and leadership, is like ability to build a relationship with someone quickly and be someone that is impressive. Because when you're able to do that, doesn't matter if you're recruiting them for, you know, the knife job, or if you're trying to get a job from that person, or if you're trying to bring them onto your company, or have them introduce you to that girl that you really like, or have whatever it matters. Being able to build a strong relationship with someone quickly, I think is important. Other takeaways on Rita? Talk, yeah, Celestial, you want to chime in here? And then we'll go to Nick.
So I took away kind of one of the same thing was everybody loves the feeling of earning something, especially he said it when you have those really high up people who already earned, let's say, a spot in Yale, Harvard, like they're trying to work to earn something else, something more. Another thing that had to like the energy was kind of said how you said when you like ran an interview or something, if there's 2 people, you still acted like there's 50, and that's what kind of led to later on there being 50, and you're already like prepared for it because you're used to already acting that way even when you had like 2 people.
Yeah, very, very, very great takeaways, Celestial. I love that. Thank you for chiming in. Let me go to Nick, and then Nick, and then we'll wrap up with a toss-up.
Awesome. Thank you, Andrew. One of my biggest takeaways from Eddie's talk was we really just offer a vehicle for other people to change their lives. You know, not everybody's going to take the vehicle, but, you know, we're giving them the opportunity to, you know, pretty much just set up for their entire future. And so I absolutely love that. And so whenever I'm recruiting, that's the mindset I'm going to have now. I want to give you guys the best opportunity to change your life.
Yep, I love that. And it's different too when you're coming from that perspective too. When you know truly, like it's like when you've had like some of y'all have never really had any actual PRs on the team, but once you've had a couple, when you've seen like how the job has impacted them, or you've seen other people go through that process, your ability to be a good recruiter, because you're not recruiting them to get some PR credit for a contest, or because I'll look better for my manager because like I want some extra PR as a team. Maybe you have an incentive to, right? I got some cool prizes, but you're recruiting because you know what kind of impact that could have on that person, and your confidence and ability to speak about the job and your desire to help them. Just like in sales, by the way, the best Cutco sales reps are the people that feel that they are helping their customers as they are selling, you know, and recruiting is still selling too. So thanks, Nick, for chiming in on that here as well. All right, to wrap things up, because I want to get some time on the 1 minute manager, we're going to bounce down to our last two topics here, which were, and let me give, whoops, cool. Our last two topics were social media proficiency, Instagram, and technical skills on Zoom. Anything that you guys learned or big takeaways from Instagram growth and building your Instagram following, or just like how to use Zoom a little bit better? Any big takeaways from those two here? Yeah, we'll go to, let's see. Anyone want to share that hasn't shared yet? Open it up. Chloe, I think you're raising your hand here. Go ahead.
Yeah, so one of the biggest takeaways was when Jonathan Castell mentioned like your image on social media. Because as a recruiter, the first thing I look you up on is Instagram and see what you look like. Obviously, you got a bong out there. I don't know if I'm gonna message you for a job. But I think even like as us as managers to make sure that we're keeping our social media up to date, because if we're messaging people for a position and they look at our account and we're not looking like someone who's trustworthy, they're probably not going to want to go into an interview, right? They're probably not going to want to take a chance for the opportunity because you look a certain way. And we're going into this world where everything is technology based. I mean, right now, right? We're all on a Zoom. So I think, you know, proficiency in social media is a huge thing. Even if it's not right now, it's going to be in the future for a lot of other companies as well. So just being proficient in it is a huge thing, because you're not going to not use social media, right? People are going to look at you. You're going to look at other people through it. So keeping that up to date and using it to your advantage. You have access to so many schools, so many different people, not just the people you know in your circle. So using that to recruit. Rita, recruiting is the answer. So using that to your advantage, I think, is a huge thing.
Awesome. Thanks, Chloe, for chiming in. Anthony, you got one more?
Yeah, one more. It's a small thing, but in the settings, he showed you how people can join without actually having Zoom downloaded on their laptop. And that has happened to me so many times. And it's so, you know, not efficient. So you have to wait for them to download it, then they have trouble with it, and then you have to share the screen with them and all that stuff. So that was a huge thing, because people are usually older on, you know, technology advanced, and that's happened at least 10 times to me. So that's pretty cool to learn to avoid that now, and save a lot of time.
Awesome. All right, last topic that we'll debrief real quick. Energy. Any takeaways from our energy management 101 conversation, or energetic leadership? Yeah, let me go to, and again, try to use the raise the little blue hand, which you can click on by going to participants down at the bottom here, or I can raise your actual hand, but I don't see you all on my Zoom page here. So let's go to, we'll go to Chris Lopez, and then we'll go to Liz Lopez.
All right, yeah, that was that I took a lot of value from that. That was a pretty interesting topic, or at least I found it really interesting. Was just really put in perspective energy and how really just your relationship with people and the tone that you set. You know, because odds are, well, you're either energy poor or you're energy rich. You can be super poor, super rich, but you're either taking energy away or you're giving away energy, right? And so that really puts perspective the influence that you have on people and the influence that others have on yourself. So I just thought it was just a really good, just really brought it in perspective on that.
Yep, I love that. And there's a great quote by John Maxwell that's leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And influence is just energy, nothing more, nothing less. So thanks, Chris, for chiming in there too. Let me go to Rebecca.
No? Okay, so.
Oh, did I say Liz first? All right, hold on, let me go to Liz, and then I'll go to Rebecca. Sorry.
Sorry, I'll make this quick. But right along with the energy and the people you hang around with, also like different activities you do will help you stay energized, like taking care of yourself, exercising, drinking water, just stuff like that. I really started to incorporate some of that stuff into my routine to like break some bad habits to make them into better habits.
Awesome. Yeah, and I hope one of the biggest things you can take away from that, as we went over it, guys, too, is that there's a lot of stuff that you can do. You could do, a 4-hour morning routine to get a line and supercharge the day. Most of y'all don't have time for that, and actually realistic. But like literally just taking 10 to 15 minutes for yourself in the mornings could radically change like your energetic state and how you go into each day and the overall how your day is, just by giving yourself like 10 to 15 minutes of focused like me time that you have something going for too. So thanks, Liz. Now let's go over to Rebecca.
Okay, so it's 2. 1, tying into circles of influence, like anybody that's energy poor. I notice I do have a lot of friends that are energy poor, and I'm like, wow, like I kind of want to separate from you now. Like I just hear a lot of negativity from you. And then one thing I implemented is hydration. Definitely drinking water before I go to bed, and as soon as I wake up. I have a glass like right there now. So.
Awesome. Exciting to hear. And by the way, yeah, just because people are energy poor, and by the way, we're all victims of all those, of being high, low, medium, so you've been there too. It doesn't mean like, hey, I'm not going to hang out with you because you're energy poor. But, I would, if people are consistently affecting you in a certain way, then I would be a little bit more aware and cautious of how those people are being affected here as well. So I think we have a couple people. I just put the waiting room back on, so we had some other people hopping on. All right, let me go ahead and wrap things up with this. I know there's a couple other shares. I'd like to get a couple minutes, though, on the 1-minute manager and have some debrief there of your biggest takeaways here. By the way, I think most of you all submitted that assignment. There's a couple of y'all that didn't. I'm going to have your district managers reach out and follow up to you if you didn't turn in that book debrief on the Google form here as well. So. Let me have Jess. Do you want to chime in here?
I do. There were 2 lines that were really close. I think it was in like 2 minutes of each other, and I stopped and replayed them like 4 different times. And the first one was, the way you develop your people is the way that they're going to develop others. And that really that was a lot of ownership for me, especially like having people on my team that I trained to be like pod leaders, and then they're going to be branch managers, and then they're going to manage other people and teach other people who are going to develop others. And that was awesome. And that went with his next line of develop them to be independent, to give them confidence that they know how to do it on their own, that they can think for themselves. And I was really thinking back to like first weekend coaching and setting up a rep's career from those first crucial days, and how important it is to give them that confidence and ability to be independent with the position so that they can then do that to other people. So.
Yep. And I know you've been doing a really great job. I know you just gave a message. I was asking Mike, it was recorded, to staff on what you've done with some of the reps on the team to help coach them and lead them too. So it's great to hear someone that I would consider pretty good at learning how to manage and work and coach other people at this point in time. Also give some goods and have some takeaways from that too. So thanks, Jess, for chiming in. Who else wants to chime in on some takeaways from this one here? Yeah, I'll have a call on Gabriel, 1-minute manager.
Yeah, it's been a minute since I listened to the book, but I actually really enjoyed the book because not only did it give you like the takeaways that you should have like very clearly, but also like managed to follow like a narrative, a storyline. I felt that was really good for engagement. But in terms of like like apart from like the takeaways of like the planning, the praise, and the I think it was reprimand. I'm a person who's very big on balance and like efficiency. So in terms of efficiency, like being the 1 minute manager and like using very little time to get big results, that really resonated with me, and it really just made me think more about like the value that you place on time and how much you can get like done if you're able to use it effectively. And also the fact like for balance, like I said, um, like you can't just be a nice manager because obviously like your people are gonna win, but the organization is gonna lose. But then you can't be a tough manager, like making your organization win and then your people lose. So you always have to find that good balance, and you find that by being the 1 minute manager.
Yep. I think one thing that you'll find is that a lot of like leadership and also sales, it's a dichotomy. What that mean or dichotomy. What that means is that yeah, I was a butcher. What that means is that like it, you know, there's a good book, another book called The Dichotomy of Leadership, and it just talks about how everything in leadership is kind of like, do you micromanage people? Do you not manage people at all? Well, it's probably somewhere in between. You micromanage some people too much, they're going to quit because you're micromanaging them. Other people, if you don't manage them enough, they're not going to do well and they're going to do a terrible job, and they're probably going to quit because they don't have anyone telling them exactly what to do. So do you tell people what to do? Do you tell not to people? I don't know. It's probably somewhere in between. You know, when you're on top, like there's, I think that for all different types of leadership aspects, and like you could kind of take any part of like, hey, management and put it into, hey, I don't know, it's a little bit of this sometimes, it's a little bit of that. You have to kind of figure out where that balance is. By the way, that's why leadership, one of the best things, like, hey, run a branch office too, because guess what? You'll quickly get to figure out where you are too far on the scale and where you were not enough on the scale. And then you go out for round 2 and then you make some adjustments. And then you're like, nope, still too far on this side. All right, now I need to wean things back a little bit. And you start to learn how to manage and coach and develop and work with people a little bit better by trial and error and making mistakes along the way too. So thanks, Gabriel. We can have one last 1 minute manager takeaway. And we're going to get ready for all these other people to hop on here. And feel free to start changing your backgrounds to the SLC backgrounds here as we're getting started. One more takeaway. Let's go to, give me someone that did not share yet. Someone that didn't share. Eric, Rebecca, Liz, thank you guys for chiming in. All right, Madison, you got it.
Okay, so I really liked when it said, don't wait until you're perfect at it, because realistically, you won't ever be perfect. So just try it out and you'll get the results sooner. You kind of have to, not do too great at something before you get better at it. You're never going to be perfect from the start.
Yep, that's the truth. All right, gang, I'm going to go ahead and cancel our recording here real quickly. And we're going to have some people hopping on here. So give me a quick favor and change your backgrounds. Again, one more time, sign up on the TLA sheet if you haven't done that for the Florida Coast Alliance signups, because we're going to re-forward that out, and then managers get that ready to forward out to your teams here.